Hi guys. Hey, 81 years ago today, my dad's B-17 was shot down on the Munster raid 10-10-43. It was part of what they called Black Week, which was pretty much the worst air battles of World War II from everything I've read, especially that mission. Um, Got a pretty cool treat here today. Um, I try every year to, fly my RC B-17 of Dad's. Well, it's not of Dad's. It's made of. It's painted up to look like Dad's, and they were the 385th Bomb Group. Tail number was 423539. Tail code P. The first number of the four they always dropped because you knew it was 1940, 1, 2, 3, whatever. But that's where the two actually followed because it was made in 1942. So that's where that first number always come from, like 43, blah blah blah. So it's built in 42. And another way to know it was built in 42, aircraft from 1942 had the red ring around the insignia. So that was another part of, knowing it was from 42. Here is a picture of the crew. And unfortunately, kind of hard to see, but my dad is, let me see if I can hold this up maybe. Okay, that's a little better. My dad's standing on the far right-hand side. He was the top turret gunner, flight engineer. I got a second picture of the crew, which is rare, because usually they did one crew shot, but somewhere along the line they ended up with two for Dad's crew, and they only ended up flying 5 missions. But once again, my dad is on the far right-hand side, the same crew. It was Lieutenant William Whitlow was the pilot. John Birch, Lieutenant Birch, was the co-pilot. But a while back, I had received a message via the Facebook page that I did for this plane, and show you my RC version of it. It was called Michigan Air Force, but they got shot down too fast. They were on their 5th mission, and they got shot down before they could get anything painted on the plane. So it was known as Michigan Air Force, but that was it. Kind of funny how this front end looks, because the model came with these 3 small cheek windows, which at first I'm thinking, okay, that's not cool at all. But then I started researching and found out that Dad's was a Douglas-built B-17 F. It started the production line as an F and came off as a G, but it had the insignia, the designation still of an F. But it did not have cheek windows, and they were all the small size as they are here. So I did have guns in there for a while when I had this as the Liberty Bell, but I took them out when I realized that it did not actually have cheek guns in it. I don't know how well you can see in there, but I've done a little bit of stuff. I made ammo box with ammunition chute. It's got the wooden floors, some different stuff I've been doing in there. This is open to get air to go through across over the batteries and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So it was a Douglas-built B-17 F technically, but it had the Bendix chin turret, so it was basically a G model, one of the first Gs made by Douglas. And anyway, I had got a message from my Facebook page that I did about this aircraft. It's Michigan Air Force 423539. If you look it up on Facebook, there'll be quite a bit of cool things that I've found out about the plane so far and Dad's crew. But this gentleman contacted me from the Netherlands, and he told me that the plane had basically went down around the vicinity of where he lived, and he was going to send me some stuff out because they had recovered some parts of Dad's plane. So Joel Brinkman from the Netherlands sent me a box and said, "Dear Jody, sorry in advance from my terrible handwriting, lefty. Here are the parts of your dad's plane. Most of the parts are labeled. Best wishes, Joel Brinkman." Thank you, Joel, so much. Sent me that all the way from the Netherlands. And started looking through some of the stuff. And there's like a lot of random kind of pieces, but a lot of them still had the paint on them. That's the kind of an olive color. Then these got the more of the zinc chromate yellowish green parts on that. Some of them are corroded. I mean, it's just amazing to see all these parts. And then there's different things. These are exhaust parts. Because Joel went through, he's a pretty big B-17 fanatic, and he did a lot of research to find out what these parts were. These are some kind of a hydraulic line. I can tell just by the fittings on there. But then he had told me he was sending something through for Tommy Ennis. He was the ball turret gunner on the plane, and he got killed in action. Tommy's right there. And he and the right waist gunner, Sergeant Walker, they did not make it out of the plane. They ended up going, basically there were 3 engines shot down, or shot out, about 5 feet of wingtip taken off. The tail gunner was really badly wounded, and he survived, but he, from what I understand, was never, right the rest of his life, which I do have the tail gunner in there. I have yet to get the rest of the crew members painted and put in yet that I need to. I need to get off my duff and do it. But, yeah, so anyway, Dad bailed out, became a POW. The co-pilot, Jim Birch, he had bailed out, evaded capture, and ended up with the French resistance. And on Christmas Eve of 42, ended up going across the river with some other guys that were, POWs and that, or not POWs, but evading capture, other guys from the American Air Force, the English, etc., and ended up drowning trying to evade capture, and he was almost across basically across a river, and you were in, good territory. So he was that close and ended up, drowning. And then I had heard that the Germans took his body and they sat it out in the center of town and did some kind of stuff. It was just pretty screwed up sounding stuff, kind of as a warning. But yeah, here's a piece. Sure, again, got the green zinc chromate, but it's fat on one end, and then it's rolled almost like a wing. It's got the leading edge bigger, and then the trailing edge small. But these are some pieces of a 50 caliber gun belt, link off the gun belt. Just all kinds of different stuff. But this piece here I'd started to talk about was a part off the ball turret for Tommy Ennis's family. I've been in contact with Heather and Steve and Tim, the three family members that I've tracked down from Facebook, and I'm going to get with them and get this piece out. But there's an actual piece of the ball turret that Joel was able to identify, and I'd seen he had a thing where it showed like an exploded view of the ball turret, and he had it marked right as to what this piece was. So that was pretty neat. But anyway, like I said, guys, it's just one of them deals of 81 years, and here's parts of the actual aircraft, and I'm going to do my tribute flight here in a little bit. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take a piece and actually put it in the plane, and part of Dad's plane is going to fly again. It'll just be kind of a neat little deal. But yeah, there's a lot of history here, and that's why I do RC, because B-17s right now, there's only 3 of them flying, and one of them's unfortunately the Yankee Air Museum sold, and it's going to New Zealand, and it's going to get all tore apart, and who knows if it'll ever fly again. And with the accidents the last few years, this is a way to keep history flying. It's a lot smaller scale, but when this thing's in the air, it looks like a B-17. I've flown on Yankee Lady. I've been on B-17 countless times. My dad and I helped restore the one in Tucson at the Pima Air Museum. So, it's something that I've been around all my life. And, it's just something that you just don't see these old birds flying very often anymore. So that's why we got to keep, radio control flying, like our area out here. We've got a new runway, 300-foot runway. And, with all the things, the FAA and different stuff against the RC hobby, definitely got to be able to keep these birds in the air, because, this is my way of, showing a history lesson of, 10 average guys, that came from all over the country. And on one day, they just, they all ended up in a bad spot, But yeah, anyway, I will let you go, but I wanted to show you guys the pieces that Joel had sent to me. He'd sent them to me quite a while ago, and I hadn't opened it up, really got into it because I wanted to wait until today. Here's a piece of plexiglass. That could be from the nose or something. Pretty thick. But, you know, wanted to go ahead and show all this stuff to you guys. You know, with it being the 81st anniversary of the real one getting shot down. Wanted to go through all this stuff. And huge thanks to Joel Brinkman for, you know, first off, caring enough to send, you know, this stuff all the way across the country or across the world to me, and, you know, for digging this stuff up and not just letting it become part of the earth. You know, there again, keeping the history alive. So, okay, guys, well, this is part 1 of part 2. I'm going to do the second part video with a head cam on the actual flight. And we will go from there. So I'm going to sign off on this one, put the parts and stuff back in their bags, put them away, and get the bird ready to fly. So we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.